Hello there. Today I have a message that's a little bit more vulnerable than normal, probably, because this is a topic that means a lot to me. It's a topic that has been very good to me, and it's a topic that has penalized me and broken my heart many times. And that is time and how to prioritize it. And in my scripture reading this morning, I was reminded of it and the importance of time when it comes down to, so the scripture that I was reading today was Hebrews 4:9 out of the New International Version translation. And it says this: "There remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God." And what it's talking about is God didn't have to rest. God is God. God could do whatever he wants, and he doesn't need rest. He doesn't need sleep. He doesn't need recovery time. And this is talking about after the 6 days that he took to create the universe and everything in it, that he took the Sabbath day to rest. And that is an encouragement for us to find the time, whether it's a Saturday, whether it's a Sunday, whether you believe in God, whether you have a faith, you just need to rest, because rest is important, not only for recovery and rejuvenation, but also for the people, especially your family and your loved ones around you, especially if you're an entrepreneur. And I remember listening to, and I've been an entrepreneur ever since I got fired from my first job when I was 16 years old and said, I don't want anyone ever to be responsible for my happiness ever again. And the reason I got fired is because I called in sick on Super Bowl Sunday when my team, the 49ers, was playing, and I signed up to work and I didn't work. And that's just how it was. So, but the reality of it is that time is critically important, especially when you prioritize it for your family. Well, I grew up with a father that was very ambitious, a father that was an entrepreneur, and a father that worked a lot. In fact, sometimes my dad would pack for the week and he would go to work in his own company and literally just not come home. He would stay there and shower there and get dressed there and eat meals there while my brother and I and my stepmom were home. And so it just doesn't breed for happiness when somebody is so ambitious that everyone around them suffers. There is a balance, is what I'm trying to say. So when you prioritize your time to include your family and also include rest, because as the saying goes, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I remember Jack Nicholson talking about it in the movie Shining, which scared the crud out of me when I was a little kid. But I also remember as an entrepreneur listening to people like Gary Vee, and he said, work your 9 to 5 and grind from 7 to 1. And that's what I did. Work from 9 to 5 and grind from 7 to 1. At what expense? At the expense of quality time with my kids, just like my father. And I remember when I was 7 years old, my father gave me a radio, for an AM/FM radio for my 7th birthday. It was my prized possession. I literally ran home every day from school so I could listen to KKDJ and the American Top 40 with Casey Kasem in Riverside, California. And there was a song then called Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. And I remember listening to the song on the radio that my dad gave me and crying myself to sleep if it came on at night, realizing that that song was about the relationship that I was having with my father. I wanted to spend time with him, but his job was such that I couldn't. And then when my father was passing, dying of esophageal cancer, and a little backstory prior to that happening, he was talking about when he first got diagnosed, he was talking about, when I beat this thing, we're going to go on that cruise to Alaska. When I beat this thing, we're going to go do the things I wasn't allowed to do with you kids, talking to my brother and I. We're going to go do those things. We're going to take those vacations. We're going to go on those trips. We're going to create those memories. And this is a 60-year-old man talking to his 40 and 37-year-old sons in regret. And there is a quote about regret that I found this morning specifically for today's video, and it says this: that a man is not old until regrets take the place of his dreams. A man is not old until regrets take the place of his dreams. That's where my father was. But not up in, he had the dream that he was going to beat that esophageal cancer. We were going to go do those cruises. We were going to go create those memories that weren't there when we were little in our formative years. And I remember the day when my dad realized that that dream is going to be the last dream he ever has. And regret set in significantly. And I remember him calling my brother and I into the room before he passed and making us promise him that we would spend more time with our kids so that we would never find ourselves in his situation as a 63-year-old man apologizing to his 43-year-old son and his 39-year-old son for not being there when they were kids in their formative years because he was pursuing his ambitions. And there's nothing wrong with the pursuit of ambitions. I remember Jim Rohn talking about he works full-time on his job and part-time on his fortune. And soon he'll be working full-time on his fortune. And how awesome would his life be then? That was great. That's what I was working for. But sometimes things don't cooperate. Sometimes the trends of the world don't cooperate. Sometimes the real estate market, whether it's commercial or residential, falls out. Sometimes the stock market crashes and people's dreams are dashed, the things that they were working for. And why am I mentioning these things? Because we only have 24 hours in a day. We only have 7 days in a work week. We only have 365 days in a calendar year. And we only have however many days we have until we take our last breath. None of that is guaranteed. So I just want to impress upon you, especially about going into the weekend, because we're going into the weekend, to prioritize your time. When you've got some spare time, when you're thinking about your priorities and you're thinking about your future, please include those you love the most. Please include those who look to you for guidance. Please include the people that are wanting your time. Those are the people that matter most. And yes, I am ambitious. Yes, I am an entrepreneur. Yes, I am trying to do the best I possibly can, but I haven't been perfect. I just had a conversation with my 18-year-old son that reminded me of this. And I work from home, and I've worked from home almost my son, actually my daughter's almost her entire life, and my son almost his entire life. He has no memories of me being in practice except for one. And we were talking about this past week. And he said, Dad, you know how you used to say, we're gonna work until we get to a certain point, and then you're gonna retire and spend all the time with us. And I remember telling him that since the time he was probably 7 or 8. He's 18. And because of real estate market crashes, and because of unexpected things, and because of business relationships, and because of market trends, and because of all kinds of divorce, and because of all kinds of other things, things didn't turn out the way I wanted. Ideally, that my dream did not turn out, but I don't have regret because I still have time. But my son reminded me of, he goes, Dad, now I'm 18 and we don't have the time to go back and redo those things. And I know that, but I can pivot now and spend quality time while he's 18, while my daughter's 15. And while they give me the time, they also have their own priorities in life now. And it starts to appeal to them, and it starts to apply to them. And that's just how life works. So let me share with you that your experience doesn't have to be my experience. Your experience could be your own. Your experience doesn't have to be my father's experience, and your kids don't have to be my experience, and your kids don't have to be my kids' experience. They can be your own. But let me encourage you this, again, as you're going into the weekend, spend some time in the weekend resting. Spend some time in the weekend paying attention and giving time, quality time, to the people that love you and that you love the most. Because once you're at the end of your life, and once you take your last breath, and we never know when that is, it's too late. So prioritize your time and include your family and include rest before it's too late. Have a great weekend, my friends. Take care and God bless.